Okay, so we are 1.5 weeks into March of 2020, which means it is time for my midpoint reading vlog. And I have a lot of things to discuss with you guys, so let's get right into it. I finished a book, but I'll be discussing that a little later on in the video because I'm not going to go in chronological order. I'm kind of going to go in, well, a couple of disappointments order first. So I finished the first book that I plan on reading. We'll talk about that in a moment. But then I started my reread of The Great Gatsby. This book. Okay. So we have this book, and then we have Mr. Francy's way of saying this book. Let's talk about this book and my thoughts on this book. Now, I told you guys that if for whatever reason I end up DNFing this book for a second time in 2 weeks, it will be DNF'd for life. And you guys, I'm DNFing it. I'm done. I'm putting it down. I'm not going back to it again. So, last time I read this book, I don't know how far I got into it, but I certainly got much further this time. I honestly can't tell you what the book is about because I didn't read it all. So it wouldn't be fair for me to do so. Also, it wouldn't be fair of me to even rate this book because I am not at all this book's intended audience. The writing style is absolutely not for me. It is, I don't know if this is the same with all classic books or just The Great Gatsby. Who knows? Maybe some months soon I'll pick up Pride and Prejudice or some other classic and absolutely love it. But the way this is written, no. I know it was written a long time ago. It just doesn't work for me. Now, if you've been keeping up with my vlogs, you know that I attempted to read this book last week and I did not get through it. I DNF'd it. I spoke to a couple of my friends and they were saying, look, you've really got to push through because it's really good and it gets better from the halfway mark and maybe you should watch the film. And I thought, maybe I can have the film be a reward. If I finish the book, then I can, watch the film and it can enhance that reading experience. But you guys, it's just not at all my cup of tea. The first time I attempted to read this last week, I fell asleep somewhere during chapter 2. And I literally fell asleep owing to boredom. I wasn't intending to, but I fell asleep and woke up with this book on the floor because I had fallen asleep reading it because it just wasn't exciting me or enticing me at all. This time, I got about this far in. So that's page 79 I got up to. And this is not a long book, probably about the halfway mark. Guys, it's just boring. So, from what I've read, it's about the protagonist. He's moved to an area from another area and we hang out with him and an old friend or college mate of his, I suppose, college or high school or whatever, and his mistresses, and I'm gonna really struggle to even say this much, but he knew someone from high school. They hung out together. This guy that he knew was a jock in high school, from what I've gathered and ascertained from the book, and he has a wife, but he also has a mistress, and his mistress also has a husband, and so that to me was off-putting. Although had this book been written in modern day contemporary style, then I probably would have been able to get through it, but yeah. And it just didn't seem to be going anywhere. Then we finally get to the party of Gatsby, who is a neighbor, a wealthy gazillionaire who has all these wonderful things, and it's just, I don't know, it bored me. And then Gatsby becomes friends with the protagonist really quickly, and they go on trips together and stuff like that, and no. I'm sorry, F. Scott Fitzgerald. I'm not your target audience. And so, if you love classics, you may very well love this book. Please don't just take my word for it. But if you are someone who hasn't read a classic book yet, my recommendation would be don't make The Great Gatsby your first book that you pick up, because it is the first classic I'm reading. I have read books that turned into classics, such as like Enid Blyton and other things like that, but this is my first classic book, and it just did not work for me. So there you go. I've DNF'd this for life. I'm never picking it up again. Goodbye. Okay, the next book I want to talk about is a book that I'm currently reading. It is The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. This is the first book in the Wheel of Time series. Now, this series has been it's been pumped up by many booktubers, and it has been made to sound like one of the single best pieces of literature, or shall we say series, ever to exist. So the cost involved in purchasing this book was too much for me, so I reserved it at my library. It came in at the beginning of this month, but I had so much already on my TBR, and I decided to sneak it in this week. I'm listening to it on audiobook rather than reading the physical. I have the physical book, so I know where I'm up to, but I'm listening to it through Audible. I've listened to the introduction, the prologue, and I did not like it. And so I don't know if it gets better. I will give it that chance. I am going to give it to the end of chapter 1 and see how I feel. But at the moment, I don't like the writing style. It seems very ye old English, which is very reminiscent of this book that I've DNF'd for life. And so it just doesn't seem like my cup of tea, but we'll see how we go. So yeah, I'll listen, because I wanted to have a book that I just listen to, that I'm not either physically reading or physically reading while listening to the audio. I just wanted to have a book that I just purely listen to. And I don't know, I may end up DNFing this very much beloved series, but there's like, I think 14 or some unreasonable to me number of books in this series. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to get through all 14, let alone book 1. But hey, at the end of the week, when I do my weekly wrap-up, we'll see if I made any progress on this one. I'm so sorry about the glare. There you go. That's Wheel of Time. I've just started it. Just finished the prologue. We'll see how we go. The next book I want to talk to you guys about is the book that I have finished, the only book I've finished so far this week, which is Bot Wars. This is a middle grade sci-fi book, and it is the first sci-fi book that I have ever read. Now, I want to make a point when I say that this is a middle grade book. If you think that this is a YA book, if you think it's young adult, that's totally fine. I found it incredibly hard to work out whether this book was YA or middle grade. I'm resting on it being middle grade, and I asked people in one of the Facebook groups that I'm a part of, the Wonderful Passion for Books, that I'll always give them a shout out. They're wonderful over there. And feel free to go over there and join them. They're great, lots of fun to hang out with. So hi to you guys. I asked them over there what they thought. A couple people were responding, and it just became very confusing the more research that I was doing. But anyway, I'm settling on it being a middle grade. You guys, this book, my first sci-fi, it's a middle grade. I went into this book reading it, not having any expectations. But if I did, they would be, okay, it's sci-fi, so I'll probably say that it was an okay book, and I'm just not the audience for it. You guys, I loved this book. Oh my god. I loved this book so much, and I never thought I would say that about a middle grade book. It is a long book for a middle grade. Apparently middle grade's meant to have a lot less writing than this book has. So this book it's a good 300 and something pages long. So it's nothing to sneeze at. 356 pages. So for a middle grade, I believe it's a long book. But it is a lot of fun. So basically, without saying too much, because I'll say all that over in the review that I'm definitely doing for this book is about this kid on the cover. Excuse me. And I'm just going to pause to clear my throat. I'll be right back. Okay, and we are back. This book is about the kid on the front cover whose name is... It's a fish. Trout. His nickname is Trout. His real name is Aiden, but he's been called Trout for a long time and it kind of stuck. Anyway, not the point. His father went out to war and he's missing. His mother died way before the book began. And so at the beginning of the book, he's living with his brother. And basically, the book takes you on an adventure of him trying to do what he can to find his father. And I'll just leave it at that. It does have a lot of sci-fi elements, but the sci-fi elements, from my understanding of reading this book and knowing that it's middle grade, it does seem to be middle grade and not as heavy on the sci-fi as an adult sci-fi book would be. But it was so much fun, and I've already done the review on Goodreads, so you can check that out over there if you would like to. But the rating that I'm giving it officially is 4.5 stars, which is incredibly high for me. I did not think I was going to give this book 4.5 stars. I thought maybe 2, maybe 3. It was a whole lot of fun from start to finish. There were only 2 cons in this book. Normally I can pick out 3 cons in every single book. This book only had 2 cons and that was it. And they were incredibly minor. Otherwise, I had an absolute blast with this book. I will definitely be reviewing it most likely tomorrow night, and so I'll get that up for you guys as soon as possible. But this is amazing. I loved it so much that I want to read the second one, but I can only seem to get the second one on Amazon, and for whatever reason Amazon just does not like me. I've tried to make purchases on Amazon before and it just doesn't seem to want to work for me, so that's a little disappointing because I'd love to read the second book. But JV Cade, well done. This is the first 4.5 star rating that I'm giving this year, and it is only rated second to Mistborn for all the books that I've read this year, which is, saying a lot. So love, love, love this book, and I'll put out the review for you guys tomorrow night on that one. Okay, I am reading Mistborn, and I am further than I said I wanted to be. I said I wanted to be around about the 150 to 200 page mark, but I am further than that. I am... Oh, actually, no, I'm not. I'm 4 pages off of 200... Oh, 150 to 200? I'm actually ahead, sorry. 246 pages into this book. However, I did some mathematics to try and work out how many pages I should be reading per day on this book if I'm to finish it by the 30th of March, so that it can be in my monthly wrap-up at the end of the month. And I was very far behind. I was something like a week and a half behind. Now I'm only 4 days behind that schedule, and I should be caught up either tonight or tomorrow to where I need to be with this. I am enjoying this book. I love this series. You guys know that. Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson, The Final Empire, Book 1. This is Book 2. Book 1 is my only 5-star book that I have for this year. I haven't given 5 stars to anyone else. It is so good. The world building is amazing. The magic systems are amazing. The characters are amazing. It's just... the journey is wonderful. The ending is, oh my god, so amazing. I cried at the end of the book. So good. Book 2, it's not as good as Book 1 from what I've read so far, but that's not saying it's a bad book. It's just that I came into this book with a lot of high expectations owing to how things were for me with Book 1. And I think that was my biggest mistake, thinking this is going to blow me out of the water. And because I expected that it would blow me out of the water, and it hasn't yet, it's falling short of my expectations. But that is not to say it's a bad book, because it's absolutely not. So far, it's in between a 3 and a 4-star rating. So it's still a pretty decent book. And you guys, I'm not even halfway yet, so there's time for more things to happen. But yeah, a couple of battles here and there. It's much more of a political story than the first one. The first one was more about learning the ways of being a Mistborn and all the magic systems that comes along with that, the restrictions, the elements, all that kind of stuff. I'm trying not to give away too much, but yeah, that's just an overview. But, and yeah, then there were battles and it was such a wild ride. This one, we're not really moving as much and it's much more political. I have no problem with political books. That's totally fine. It's not a bad book. It's just not as good as the first one was up to this point of this book. But we'll see. I will give you more at the end of the week. And at the end of the week, I should absolutely be over the halfway mark. But I should be over the halfway mark because we'll be 2 weeks into March. So there we go. There's Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. The final book that I'm just very quickly going to show you guys is East by Edith Patel. This book, if you saw my weekly wrap-up for last week, came out of the box with all the genres. This was the third book that I did pull out, so I was due to start this book. I was actually due to start it tomorrow, but because I DNF'd The Great Gatsby as of today, I DNF'd The Great Gatsby, I'm going to start this earlier, and I was hoping to start this before I recorded this video, but I didn't get time to, and that's totally fine. I will read some of it tonight, and then I can talk to you all about it by the end of the week. Hopefully I'll be done with it by the end of the week, but if I'm not, that's okay. You know, I don't want to stress myself out too much, because it isn't a short story by any means. It is... Okay, I'm just checking. It is 494 pages, so it's literally 6 pages away from being a tome, and it looks to be a multi-perspective book, which... I had a multi-perspective book with Personal Demons, and I didn't enjoy one of those perspectives, but this looks like it's going to be a heck of a lot better than Mistborn. That is a very big call to make, and that's not what I meant. It looks like it's going to be a heck of a lot better than Personal Demons. Than Mistborn. I can't believe I just said that. I'm so sorry, Brandon Sanderson. No, I don't know if this will be better than Mistborn, but should be much better than Personal Demons. Anyway, so that's kind of where things stand at the moment. Current reading experiences. I'm exclusively listening to the first Wheel of Time series book, The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. I am continuing to read The Well of Ascension, the second book in the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson, and I will be beginning East by Edith Patel. I keep thinking her name is Judith, and now I'm saying her name is Piao. Anyway, I'm going to begin to read East by Edith Patel tonight. I've read Bot Wars. It was absolutely incredible, 4.5 stars. Did not think that would happen, and I very gladly... Oh, you guys. Never felt so happy as I have now. I very gladly DNF'd for life. F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby, because it's just not for me. I'm sorry. Oh, you guys, I've read some bad books this year. This is the worst one. But again, please keep in mind that when I say that this is the worst book I've read this year, I'm not saying you will hate it. I'm just saying I am not the target audience for this book. I'm just not. The book was not written for me. It was not written for what I want to experience. But for me, I gratifyingly, after trying to read it last week, DNFing it, and then bringing it back again, giving it another red-hot go this week, getting to the halfway mark, gratifyingly, I'm DNFing this book. So, there we go. I will update you on these... these 3 books during my end-of-week vlog. And, yeah, I'll let you know how I'm going, where I'm up to with East, where I'm up to with Well of Ascension, and if I end up DNFing Wheel of Time. We'll see. It'll be a pretty big thing if I end up DNFing Wheel of Time, don't you think? But anyway, I post videos every Thursday this time round, because I couldn't do it yesterday, I was busy yesterday, but I post videos, generally speaking, every Wednesday, Saturday, and when I do reviews. So I hope to see you again very, very soon, and if you want to check out my Bot Wars review, it will be up tomorrow, 4.5 stars. It's going to be awesome to chat with you guys about that spoiler and non-spoiler review, so feel free to come along, even if you haven't read it, because I'll definitely let you know when we get to the spoiler point of that one. But until then, if you have any comments, thoughts, and or questions, please do leave them in the space below. Have you read any of these books? What did you think of them? You may completely disagree with me. Feel free to tell me, hey, Mr. Francy, I can't believe you said that about Great Gatsby. That was so harsh. Please, go ahead. Or, they agreed with me. Oh, Mr. Francy, I can't believe you made it to 79 pages. I made it to 20 and DNF'd it. Yeah, so I'm definitely not hanging on to this book. I did quickly want to tell you guys that I'm not hanging on to this book. I am going to be donating it. So, there we go. And last minute note, because I was wrapping up, but there is one thing I forgot to tell you guys, is that I said in my weekly wrap-up for last week that I was umming and ahhing over whether or not I was going to do a review for the Night Watch, because it was going to be a very complicated book to review, and I have ultimately decided not to do a review for Night Watch, but that's okay. Yeah, so I'm just not going to do it. I did like it. It was good. It got 3 stars from me. I think it was actually 3.5, but because of Goodreads, it reverts back to 3. So, Goodreads, come on. I mean, can we just start a campaign, guys, to get Goodreads to do 0.5? I mean, I don't need 0.25 or 0.75. Just 0.5 will be enough for me. But yeah, I'm not going to do a review for the Night Watch. But okay, I will leave that there. Letting you guys go. Peace, blessings, and so much love. Mwah. Thank you so much for watching, and happy reading. Bye, guys. Bye.